Welcome back, everybody. Today's deep dive is going to be, well, pretty heavy.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking into the story of Sarah, a woman who chose to have body contouring surgery.
Yeah.
And things took a really tragic turn.
Yeah. It's a tough one for sure.
It is. And the podcast episode we're using as source material today, it goes way beyond, just the medical details.
Absolutely.
We'll be looking into Sarah's reasons for wanting the surgery,
Right.
the effects it had on her family, and her husband Tom's powerful message after everything happened.
It's so important to examine those ripple effects.
Exactly. So to
Right.
start, the podcast really paints this heartwarming picture of Sarah.
It does.
She sounds like just the kind of person everyone wanted to be around.
Yeah.
A dedicated mom to her kids, Ella and Sam. A loving wife to Tom, hardworking.
And her husband actually describes her as someone who brought joy wherever she went.
Yeah, you can just imagine how much this loss must have affected him and their kids.
Oh, absolutely.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I am curious, though. What made Sarah decide to have surgery in the first place? Was it something she just up and decided one day, or had she been thinking about it for a while?
Well, from what I gathered from the podcast,
Okay.
Sarah had wanted to feel better about herself and how she looked for a while now.
Okay.
She had looked into body contouring quite a bit
Wow.
and even talked it all over with Tom.
So it sounds like this was a choice she felt would really help her,
Yeah, it seems like it.
which makes it all the harder to process.
Yeah, and that's what's so interesting about this case.
Okay.
It's not a story of, someone acting carelessly or anything.
Right.
Sarah wanted to improve herself,
Of course.
which is usually seen as a good thing.
Yeah.
But it makes you think about how far we should go to reach those goals and the risks that might come with them.
Right. It's all about that balance.
Exactly.
Wanting to feel good, but also realizing the downsides.
Yeah.
Now, the podcast doesn't shy away from the details of the procedure.
Not at all.
Body contouring is getting more and more popular these days,
It is.
but it's not without its dangers.
Definitely not.
Did you know that complications can happen during these surgeries, and they can even be fatal?
Absolutely.
Wow. I had no idea it could be that serious.
Yeah.
So what exactly happened during Sarah's surgery?
Well, it seems like
Okay.
there were complications during the actual procedure,
Oh, wow.
and that led to her death.
I can't imagine.
Just think about the shock.
Yeah.
Tom and the kids were expecting her to be home in a few days,
Right.
not dealing with this unbelievable loss.
I can't even imagine what that must have been like for them.
It's
To go from looking forward to her coming home to sudden grief?
awful.
No one should have to go through that.
There's actually this really emotional soundbite from Tom in the podcast
Oh, wow.
where he talks about trying to comfort his children in the hospital waiting room.
Oh, my God.
It really shows just how unexpected this all was for them.
That must have been incredibly difficult for him. Losing his partner
Right.
and then having to explain it to his young children, all while he's dealing with his own grief.
Yeah.
It's hard to even comprehend.
And on top of all the heartbreak,
Yeah.
Tom became a single father overnight.
Oh, God.
He had to deal with his grief
Yeah.
while also taking care of Ella and Sam, who were now dealing with the loss of their mother.
How did they react to her death?
Well,
Yeah.
the podcast talks about how they struggled to understand what happened.
Of course.
Ella and Sam were so young,
Right.
trying to make sense of this huge hole in their lives.
It's heartbreaking to think about.
It really shows how these things
Yeah.
affect everyone in the family.
Absolutely. It makes you consider the wider implications, how everyone is affected by these choices.
You're right.
And speaking of impact, this tragedy is what led Tom to start his advocacy work.
Right.
Can you tell me more about that? What's his message?
Well,
Yeah.
he's not saying people shouldn't have elective surgery, but he is asking people to really consider the risks, to think about what they could lose.
Right.
There's another powerful soundbite where he talks about how valuable loved ones are
Oh, wow.
and how no physical change can ever compare to the bond you have with them.
It's like he's saying, look, this is what I lost.
Yeah.
Don't take what you have for granted.
Exactly. Appreciating the people in your life, flaws and all.
It's such a tragic story, but it sounds like Tom's finding a way to use his grief to do something good.
Yeah.
Something that could help others make informed decisions.
It's pretty inspiring.
It really is, and it brings up something really important.
What's that?
Self-acceptance.
Yeah.
It's all about learning to love and appreciate yourself as you are.
Right.
It's easier said than done.
It is.
Especially when the world is always telling us we need to look a certain way.
You're right. It's a constant battle.
It is.
But true self-acceptance comes from within. It's not about meeting some beauty standard,
Right.
but about recognizing your own worth.
So how can we develop that sense of self-acceptance in a world so focused on how we look?
That's a great question,
Yeah.
and one we'll definitely dig into more later.
Okay.
But first, I want to mention something the podcast shared about Ella and Sam.
Okay.
Every year, they plant a tree in memory of their mom.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It is.
It's such a lovely way to honor her.
It really is.
It's like a symbol of growth and healing.
Yeah.
A way to keep her memory alive.
And it shows how resilient people can be.
Yeah.
And the power of love.
Sarah's story is so personal,
Mm-hmm.
but it also makes you think about some bigger societal trends.
Absolutely.
We've seen so many more people choosing elective cosmetic procedures like body contouring lately.
It's true.
It makes you wonder what's causing this.
Yeah.
Is it pressure from society, the influence of social media,
Right.
or something else entirely?
It could be a mix of everything.
Yeah, it feels like we're living in this time where everything has to be perfect and improved all the time,
That's a good point.
including our bodies.
Right.
And while there's nothing wrong with wanting to look and feel your best,
Right.
it's crucial to think about why we're making these choices and to be realistic.
Definitely an important conversation to have.
For sure.
And, another part of Sarah's story that we need to talk about is the ethics of elective surgery.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the individual stories, but there are definitely bigger issues at play.
Right.
While people have the right to make decisions about their own bodies, we have to acknowledge the potential risks and the unintended consequences.
And have those open and honest conversations about the pressure society puts on us.
Yeah,
We need to look at where self-improvement ends
absolutely.
and where unrealistic beauty standards begin.
I agree.
It's about creating a system that protects vulnerable people
Right.
and make sure the industry is acting responsibly.
And it's also important to think about the psychological effects of elective surgery.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Some people might feel more confident,
Right.
but others might struggle with body image issues or unrealistic expectations.
It's so important to talk about the emotional and psychological factors involved.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to another big question.
Okay.
In a world that's obsessed with how we look,
Mm-hmm.
how can we learn to value inner qualities and the importance of human connection more?
That's a really great question,
It is.
and one that we should all be thinking about.
Yeah, we get so caught up in superficial things,
Mm-hmm.
striving for something that's impossible to achieve.
Right.
But Sarah's story reminds us that true beauty comes from the connections we make
Yeah.
and the love we share.
And I think Sarah would completely agree with that.
Me too. And it reminds us of Tom's message about cherishing our loved ones. Sarah's story is a stark reminder that life is precious
It is.
and can change in an instant.
Yeah.
We need to value the people in our lives,
Absolutely.
flaws and all, and make the most of the time we have together.
You've put it perfectly.
And Sarah's story, while incredibly sad,
Yeah.
also brings up some important questions about fate
Right.
and how unpredictable life can be.
What do you mean?
Well, it reminds us that no matter how much we plan
Yeah.
and try to control things, sometimes things happen that we just can't control.
Right.
It's a bit of a humbling thought.
It is, but it's also a reminder to really live in the moment,
Yeah.
to appreciate the people we have, and to find joy in the simple things.
Because we never know what tomorrow might bring.
Exactly.
And it brings us back to that question.
Okay.
How can we appreciate what truly matters when the world is so focused on outward appearances?
It's about changing our perspective.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on what we don't have or trying to change ourselves to be perfect,
Yeah.
we should focus on what we do have
Right.
and what we can appreciate now.
Mm-hmm.
Real happiness and fulfillment don't come from achievements or possessions,
Right.
but from inner peace, meaningful connections, and enjoying the simple things in life.
You said that perfectly.
And I think that leads us perfectly into the last part of our deep dive,
Okay.
where we'll look into the legacy of Sarah's story
Great.
and the lessons we can learn from it.
I'm looking forward to it.
So we were talking about Tom's advocacy work
Yeah.
and how he's really turned this awful experience into something positive.
It is amazing.
It is. He's not trying to stop people from making their own choices,
Right.
but he wants them to think about the potential consequences.
Yeah.
One thing that really stood out to me
Mm.
is how he shares stories from other people who've had complications or lost loved ones because of cosmetic procedures.
Oh, wow. Hadn't thought about that, but that sounds like a really powerful approach.
It is. It's not just statistics,
Right.
He's showing the human side of it.
Yeah, giving it a face.
Exactly. And it seems to be working.
Really?
Yeah, he's been interviewed for articles and podcasts.
That's great.
And his social media following has grown a lot.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that people want to have these honest conversations.
They do.
Conversations that go beyond the perfect pictures and marketing.
It really makes you think about the role of the media in all of this.
Yeah.
We're constantly bombarded with images of so-called perfection,
Right.
which can lead to unrealistic expectations and make people feel insecure.
Absolutely. And social media is a big part of that.
Oh, definitely.
People are always comparing themselves to others,
Yeah.
trying to get likes and validation.
It's a vicious cycle.
It really is. And we have to remember that a lot of those images are edited and curated. They're not real.
Right. We need to be more critical of what we see in the media and focus on a healthier view of beauty.
Totally. It's about celebrating all the different shapes and sizes and looks out there.
Exactly. And Tom also talks about how the cosmetic surgery industry can be exploitative.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
How can you tell if a surgeon is ethical and trustworthy?
That's the big question. Tom's advice is to do your research,
Okay.
ask the tough questions, and don't be afraid to get a second opinion.
That makes sense.
He also says it's really important to find a surgeon who's board certified
Okay.
and has a lot of experience with the specific procedure you're considering.
So you shouldn't just go for the cheapest option.
Right.
Or the one with the fanciest website.
Exactly. You need to really dig deep
Yeah.
and make sure you're choosing someone qualified and ethical.
It's a big decision.
It is. And you also need to be honest with yourself.
About.
Your reasons for wanting surgery.
Okay.
Are you doing it for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you feeling pressured by other people?
It's easy to feel that pressure.
Yeah, with all the messages we see every day.
Right.
But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's about making a choice that feels right for you.
For you and for the right reasons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to self-acceptance.
Yes, we talked about it earlier.
We did.
But how can we learn to love and appreciate ourselves in a world that's so focused on appearance?
Well, it's a journey,
Okay.
and it's different for everyone.
Mm.
One helpful thing is to focus on our inner qualities,
Yep.
our strengths,
Yeah.
the things that make us unique.
So instead of focusing on what we see as flaws,
Right.
we should focus on what makes us feel good about ourselves.
Exactly. Celebrating our individuality
Yeah.
and realizing that our worth isn't tied to how we look.
That's a huge shift in how we think.
It is.
Are there other things people can do?
It's so important to surround yourself with supportive people.
Yeah, people who value you for who you are.
Yes. And you should also be mindful of what you're seeing on social media.
Mm-hmm.
If you find yourself comparing yourself to others
Right.
or feeling bad about your body,
Yeah.
it might be time to take a break.
Take a break or unfollow those accounts.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
all about creating a positive environment.
Yeah, both online and offline.
And you also need to challenge those negative thoughts about yourself.
It's so easy to be hard on ourselves.
It is. But we need to remember that we're all works in progress.
We are.
And that's okay.
It is.
Self-compassion and kindness are so important.
They are. It's easy to forget that.
Self-acceptance isn't a finish line.
Mm-hmm.
It's a journey.
With ups and downs.
Yeah, there will be days when you feel great
Right?
and days when you struggle.
That's normal.
It is.
Yeah.
The key is to keep being kind to yourself.
And keep working towards a healthier relationship with yourself.
Exactly. It's not about being perfect.
Yeah.
It's about accepting our imperfections.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
I'm glad.
I'm seeing self-acceptance in a whole new light.
I'm glad to hear that.
And I really appreciate Tom's work even more now.
He's doing amazing work.
Raising awareness,
Mhm.
encouraging responsible practices,
Right.
and getting people to really think about beauty and self-worth. And he's doing it all while grieving and raising his kids.
It's truly inspiring.
It makes you realize that there's no one right way to grieve,
There isn't.
and it can take a long time.
Yeah, even a lifetime.
And it's okay to ask for help.
It is.
Yeah.
It's okay to go to therapy,
Yeah.
join a support group,
Mm-hmm.
or just lean on your loved ones.
It's about finding what helps you cope.
And giving yourself the time and space to heal.
And healing doesn't mean forgetting.
No.
It's about learning to live with the loss
Mm,
and finding ways to honor the person you loved.
exactly.
It seems like Tom's advocacy work is how he's honoring Sarah
Yeah.
and channeling his grief into something good.
It really shows how you can find meaning and purpose even in the darkest times.
It's amazing to see how one person's story can have such a big impact,
It is.
inspiring conversations and even actions.
It reminds us that we can all make a difference in
Yeah.
our own ways.
And that our stories matter.
Absolutely.
Sharing our experiences,
Mhm.
both good and bad,
Yeah,
helps us connect with others,
it does.
offer support,
Mm.
and create a more understanding world.
You said it perfectly.
Yeah.
And that's why these deep dives are so important. They
Yeah.
make us think critically, question our beliefs, and find deeper meaning.
So as we wrap up our discussion on Tom's work
Yeah.
and the psychological aspects of surgery and the importance of grief and healing,
There's one more thing we need to talk about.
what's that?
The role of fate and how unpredictable life can be.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely been on my mind.
It is a thought-provoking part of Sarah's story.
It is. We like to think we have control over our lives,
We do.
but sometimes things happen that we just can't control.
It's true, and it can be hard to accept.
It is, but it also teaches us to cherish what we have, appreciate the people we love,
Yeah,
and find joy in the everyday moments, because tomorrow is never guaranteed.
exactly.
It all goes back to that question.
Okay.
How can we appreciate what really matters when the world is so focused on how we look?
It's about shifting our focus.
Yeah.
Instead of wanting what we don't have or trying to be perfect, we should appreciate what we do have.
Right, and be grateful for it.
Yeah. True happiness and fulfillment don't come from outside things.
Yeah.
They come from inner peace, from strong connections,
Right.
and from appreciating the simple things.
I think that's a perfect way to transition into the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
where we'll explore what Sarah's story means for all of us.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's incredible how Sarah's story is both deeply personal and also about something much bigger.
It really is.
Yeah.
We often think we have all the time in the world
Right.
to, achieve our goals, make changes,
Yeah.
or even tell people how we feel.
Yeah.
But Sarah's story shows us just how quickly things can change.
It really makes you appreciate the present moment
It does.
and realize you shouldn't put things off.
Absolutely.
I need to live our life to the fullest.
And I think that's one of the most important lessons here.
It is.
It's not about being scared.
Right.
It's about being present in our lives. Being there for the people we care about,
Yeah.
following our passions,
Right.
showing our gratitude.
Not waiting for someday.
Exactly, because someday might never come.
It's a powerful reminder.
It is.
And it makes Tom's dedication to his advocacy work even more meaningful.
It does.
He could have easily let this grief consume him,
Yeah.
but instead he's using it to help others avoid the same pain.
He's turned this tragedy into something positive.
It really speaks to the strength of the human spirit.
It does.
Yeah.
It shows how we can find purpose even when things are incredibly difficult.
It's truly inspiring.
It is.
And it makes you think about the legacy we all leave behind. It's not about the things we own or the things we achieve.
Yeah,
It's about the impact we have on others.
I completely agree.
Sarah's legacy lives on
It does.
through the love she shared and through the work Tom is doing.
It's a reminder that our choices have consequences,
Right.
and they can affect people in ways we may never fully understand.
So it all comes back to that question. How do we appreciate what truly matters?
Right.
When the world is so obsessed with appearances.
Well, it starts by changing how we see things.
Okay.
Instead of looking for validation from others
Right.
or chasing after some idea of perfection, we need to look inside ourselves.
So focusing on things like kindness, compassion, and being true to ourselves.
Exactly. Those are the things that really matter.
Right.
And we need to nurture those qualities. Focus on our relationships.
Yeah.
Find joy in the simple things.
Those are the things that bring true happiness.
They are.
It's about realizing that beauty isn't about fitting into some mold.
No.
It's about being unique and living a life that reflects who you truly are.
And Tom's message about cherishing our loved ones is so important.
It is. It's something we can all relate to.
We often take the people in our lives for granted.
We do.
We think we have forever to tell them how we feel.
Right. Or to spend time with them.
Sarah's story reminds us not to wait.
It does.
Don't wait for a special occasion or a tragedy.
Yeah. Show your loved ones how much you care now.
Make those connections a priority every single day.
Yes. Tell them you love them.
Offer support.
Be present.
Those small acts can mean the world.
I keep thinking about Sarah's children planting a tree every year.
Me too.
It's just such a beautiful way to remember her.
It's a symbol of growth and healing, and it shows how powerful love and memory can be.
Even in the face of loss.
It's a reminder that even though we can't control everything in life,
Yeah.
we can choose how we respond to challenges.
We can choose to let grief control us.
Or we can honor those we've lost by living meaningful lives. And I think that's what Sarah would have wanted.
I think so, too.
For her loved ones to find joy, spread kindness,
Yeah.
and make the most of their time.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Sarah's story,
Hmm.
what are the key takeaways for our listeners?
First, cherish the people you love.
Yes.
Make time for them.
Mm.
And don't be afraid to show your feelings.
And don't let the pressure to look a certain way get in the way of true happiness.
Exactly. Your inner qualities are what truly matter.
And remember, life is full of surprises.
It is.
Don't wait to pursue your dreams. Live in the now.
We've talked about so much today,
We have.
from the specifics of body contouring
Yeah.
to how society views beauty
We've explored grief and self-acceptance.
and finding purpose in the face of tragedy.
But I think the most important thing is
What's that?
how one person's story can make a difference.
It's true.
Sarah's life and loss have touched so many people,
They
and
do.
it sparked a conversation.
About awareness,
Mhm.
compassion.
And making responsible choices.
It shows how important it is to share our stories,
All of them.
the good and the bad.
Because it helps us connect with each other.
Yeah.
Offer support.
And remember that we're not alone.
And that's what makes these deep dives so meaningful.
They make us think differently,
Mm-hmm.
challenge what we believe,
Yeah.
and find deeper meaning in the world around us.
So as we say goodbye to Sarah's story,
Mm-hmm.
let's hold on to what we've learned.
Yeah.
Let's embrace self-acceptance.
Cherish the people we love.
And live each day with purpose and thankfulness.
And let's keep exploring the world with open hearts and curious minds.
Absolutely. Looking for understanding, connection, and meaning in everything we do.
Well said.
Until next time, keep diving deep.